probably a bit too young to like actually properly remember, but I know it was initially through Bitcoin. I got linked to the white paper. Didn't quite understand it at the time, but linked to the white paper and started by just sort of writing my own mining software. Yeah, I came over from some sort of other internet communities that had a little bit of an overlap with the early Bitcoin community, and you know, maybe 5 years later, it kind of went from oh, this is just something that I'm doing to play around, to, oh, this has actually got some legs now, it's getting some traction. You know, I could actually turn this into something bigger. Oh, I wrote my own, well, I forked someone else's mining software initially and then played around writing my own, which is what helped me get my head around, you know, how this whole, like, well, I guess the initial reaction for people like me when they first heard about Bitcoin at the time was like, oh, well, why can't I just go in and like edit the file on my computer to like say there's a million instead of one, right? And yeah, going through the process of like forking someone else's like Bitcoin miner and then eventually going and writing my own helped me understand how the sort of like decentralized consensus worked, and you know why it wasn't just as simple as, oh, I go in and like edit some file. There's actually like some security behind it. Yeah. Well, obviously when I was younger it was just to play around and have fun, honestly. But nowadays I think I'm fortunate enough that I can focus on trying to make a real change, right? So looking at the way that society is going and attempting to fight for you know, certain civil liberties and rights that seem to be going ignored. Yeah. So challenges developing Railgun. I think while a lot of the technology that Railgun uses had existed in like a theoretical or academic sense, or even, you know, some of them had, or like there are implementations out there, but they're not really implementations that are geared towards like user friendliness and sort of like developer experience, right? And so having to build out an application that uses these standards, or even like re-implement a lot of it, especially a lot of the on-chain code. So a lot of the Solidity had to be rewritten, but you know, building things out in a way that's, you know, easy for other like developers to build on top of, and you know, provides a better user experience for users, has been quite a challenge. All right. So essentially, what Railgun aims to do is you know, provide a new wallet type for Ethereum and, you know, other EVM chains. So rather than having like a 0x address where you know, anyone that you've ever interacted with can go and like pocket watch and sort of see all of your on-chain activity, there is a 0zk address, right, which provides you a level of privacy. The challenge that comes along with building something that's meant to be used as a wallet is if you intend for people to actually store crypto there long term and use it as their like primary wallet, you need to have a big focus on security. You know, people are a lot more comfortable putting things into a protocol if they're only going to be in there for like a few days, right? And so maybe yield farming on a DeFi protocol isn't as isn't as security critical as, like the thing where you're actually where your private keys live, right? And so the aim with Railgun from day one has been, there's no admin keys, it's 100% a DAO, and you take on as little security assumptions as you can. So Railgun isn't a rollup, doesn't use a bridge to like other chains for this reason. If you have a rollup, now you've got the additional risk of the rollup operator. Maybe there's an admin key on that rollup that can factor into your decision on whether to use a protocol or not. Or if you use a bridge, now you've got the bridge operator risk. You've got not just the Ethereum consensus risk, but there's also the other chain that your protocol is running on. And so Railgun runs on the chain that you use it on. So if you're using Ethereum, the contracts for Railgun live on Ethereum. And if you want to use a cheaper chain like Arbitrum, okay, that's the risk that you're willing to take on, the additional risk of using Arbitrum, right? So you've got the Railgun contracts on Arbitrum, right? And same goes for like Polygon and BSC. This has meant that for Ethereum L1 at least, some of the gas costs have been a bit of a UX challenge. And this is sort of an ongoing area of focus for research for contributors, and I hope that comes down in the future. But really the main focus here is security first, making sure that you can use it primarily as your like wallet, right? And you get privacy at rest, and then sort of building things out from there, never compromising on security. I can just talk about audits. Yeah. So when it comes to audits, I think I've got a bit of a spicy take, but I often find that audits that end up resulting in the sort of like PDF at the end, that the PDF generally tends to be like the least valuable thing from the audit. So with Railgun, there's been multiple audits, and not just from audit firms. There's been other contributors that have looked over the contracts and various other components. If you look at all of the components of the Railgun system, they've all been audited multiple times over, and some of them have resulted in an audit report which you can go and read. But others are just sort of like, okay, well, you've got people that are continuously watching, the code as it evolves and making sure that throughout the entire development lifecycle, there's no sort of bad practices that get introduced in, and things are done correctly. I think given the focus that Railgun has on specifically security, I think running things where there's admin keys involved, where maybe you get someone drunk one day and steal their laptop, or whatever the case may be, having that sort of risk in a security-focused system is just unacceptable. And so I don't think I would change if I was to launch something like Railgun today. I don't think I would change the way it was launched. It has meant that things are more difficult, especially around getting people to agree on things is much more complicated with a DAO. There's certainly been points where it would have been convenient to just have dictatorial powers, but I'm just sort of someone that contributes research, and I can make suggestions, but that doesn't mean that people follow them. maintenance is like, that is a good thing. It means that, probably the number one thing that protocol founders tend to like overlook is like, well, like, do you trust yourself in 5 years? And I think, sure, most people would answer yes to that, but maybe things change, right? And maybe it's like, well, if you want your protocol to outlive you, like, you can't have that sort of control over it. I think specifically, the most difficult thing about like being a DAO from day one is probably the fact that everyone assumes that you just slapped a DAO label on it and you're not actually a DAO, right? And so maybe they come to you and they say, oh, well, like, can you make this change, or can you do whatever? And you have to go through the process of like explaining to them, no, like I don't have dictator powers, right? I can't just unilaterally make changes. We are actually a DAO. And just having to go through that process over and over again is, that's probably been the most migraine-causing part of the process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's local.